Hi there, everybody. Welcome into a Tuesday here in New York City, the Evan and Tiki radio program. Tiki is not here, but where he is may change Tiki Barber for the rest of his life. Because Tiki wouldn't tell us what he was doing. He just merely said, I had important meetings in Washington, D.C. So when Tiki comes back tomorrow and all of a sudden his tone on UFOs is different, don't wonder why. Because he's going to get, informed a little bit later on today. But that's just mere speculation. We'll find out when Tiki returns tomorrow. We have a lot to talk about today. We'll get into the Knicks a little bit later on. CP the Franchise will join us. We'll play another new edition of Posted and Toasted. And Yankee fans and Met fans are salivating over the thought of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. We will address his future. But something very interesting and unorthodox has occurred over the last 2 days, Shaun. I don't know if you've seen it. I don't know if you feel it. I don't know if you feel it's as unusual as maybe I feel it is. The owner of the New York Mets is talking to his fans. And he's not just saying, hey, guys, I love you. I gave you Juan Soto. He's threatening Met fans. And that may sound kind of stark and like crazy. What do you mean he's threatening Met fans? I want you to take a listen to something Steve said yesterday. He did an interview with the great Howie Rose on the Meet Me at the Apple podcast. And Steve Cohen decided to challenge us as Met fans. Take a listen.
I'm sort of looking at 2025 as an important year for the fans. I mean, I've, committed and highly committed to putting the best product on the field. I was a little disappointed in the attendance last year, given the quality of the team. And I'm hoping that the fans come out this year because I just think it's a blast there. And I think I think they'll have a phenomenal time with a team that I'm excited by.
So what Daddy said right there was, I just spent a crap load of money, okay? I spent a crap load of money last year, too, and where are you? Why weren't you at my ballpark? And I took that as when he says it's a challenge to Met fans. And by the way, there's more of Steve Cohen talking about this, which we'll get to in a couple of minutes. I took that as him telling Met fans, hey, guys, I did my part. Now it's time to do your part.
That gives me so much anxiety for the Met fan out there, because the next question is, how much is it for the average fan to be doing their part? How many of us can't afford season tickets?
I get it.
How many games do I have to go to that every other Met fan is going to be like me and we all do our part? Because we've all spent our time spending Steve Cohen's money, so he wanted to spend it that way too. Look, as an owner, he has every right to turn around and expect you as a customer to spend. But it's asking a lot for people to go to more than 3 games a year.
I totally get the difficulties of it. Like, I'm not sitting here and saying, boy, you better go to a game if you want the Mets to spend. But I think Steve Cohen is having an honest conversation with all of us. And in that honest conversation, he's reminding us of something. He spent his money on this team. Okay, this isn't like the Yankees. This isn't like the Dodgers where they make such a fortune and he's spending a lot of the revenue they make. Steve Cohen went into his own pocket, spent money, and he's reminding Met fans, hey, guys, you better show up.
But here's where I have an issue with it, though. Can we wait till, I don't know, mid-May when we have a month full of attendance, some of which may not be great in bad weather, before Steve Cohen maybe says he's a little disappointed in attendance? Can you give the fans off of all the goodwill that was last year and the goodwill that was this offseason, finished off by re-signing Pete Alonso? Can you give your fan base a chance to prove themselves before we basically veiled threaten them that I'm not going to spend money? Because, look, Evan, let's be real.
He didn't say it. I'm surmising it.
But we all can surmise.
You're surmising that, too.
And we're going to play more Steve Cohen cuts. Look, here's the truth. I'm a Yankee fan. You're a Met fan that spends money on season tickets.
Yes.
I, as a Yankee fan, never have to worry about this because no matter how many games I attend and no matter how many beers I buy or tickets I purchase, I know that whether it's through tourism or Yankee baseball, the sellouts are always going to happen. I would hate to be in a position as a Met fan where we have enough stresses in life. Your family life, your work life, your sports are our release from stresses. And the stresses that come with wins and losses and pennant races and all that are another story. I don't want to feel stress and anxiety as a fan. If I didn't get to a game in the last 2 weeks, am I not doing my part? I think that part sucks that Steve Cohen is making fans feel like
he's
that.
being honest, huh? I mean, that's what he's doing. He's being honest.
Can you wait, Evan?
Here's more from Steve Cohen talking to Howie Rose about, hey, is there, What's going on? What's going on with the attendance at Citi Field from last year and how disappointed Steve was?
We're definitely seeing an uplift, and I'm excited by that. And I just want it to be sustained because I remember being in the ballpark. I think we were playing the Nationals right before the final series against Philadelphia. And we're right in the middle of a pennant race. I think there were 18,000 people in attendance at Citi Field. And I was like, we're right in the middle of a pennant race. Where is everybody? And so I'm expecting that the fans will come out and really enjoy a great product this year.
I do remember that too. And, we talk about this on the air, and this is the difference in the conversation we're going to have today and the conversation we've had in the past. In the past, when we've talked about, hey, why haven't the Mets drawn well?
Right.
It's just a generic, it's expensive, it's tough to get there. And we didn't feel like there are any consequences to it. Today, this conversation is different because the owner is telling you, and you heard it in that clip too, he's pissed off.
Yeah.
He looked around for those few games before the Phillies series because when they played the Phillies that weekend, the place was packed. Yep. And then obviously the postseason, the place was electric, no question. But for those games against the Nationals, which were very important games, he's right. I remember being there, too, thinking the same damn thing. Like, what is going on? And I always hear the same excuses. Well, it's September. Oh, there's a Jewish holiday. The kids are back in school. All of those things are true, but they also apply to the New York Yankees. And they didn't seem to have an issue drawing. And even the Mets of the past, like the Mets have had very good attendance seasons. It's not like they never have. And for whatever reason, last year sucked. And he did say that they're selling a few more tickets, so this year should be better. But he's telling you, hey, you better not do this to me again. And I understand your worries and anybody's worries listening right now saying, hey, I can't go to a game. It's too. I get it. But he's still telling you, you better show up or I'm not going to spend. That's how I took his comments.
And I took him the same way. But look, just the point stands. As fans, we're allowed to tell an owner how to spend his money because he could choose to listen to us or choose not. You shouldn't be telling the average New Yorker, hey, if you're a Met fan, you're not doing your part that I did mine if you're not coming to games, which is what he's saying. And I just have a big issue with that. There's a million ways to support a team. How many people went and couldn't wait to pre-order those Juan Soto jerseys?
Yeah, and then wait 2 months for them to arrive.
Exactly. How many people showed up to that Met Fan Fest or buying the hats everywhere? There are other ways to spend your money as a fan other than committing to going to multiple games, which is harder and harder for people to do. And I know Steve Cohen knows that he's a Met fan, but I hope when you spend $800 million on Juan Soto, the idea isn't I'm shutting down the wallet after this if we don't do. And what's the number, too? He said 18,000. Is
right.
25,000 enough in these September games when kids go back to school?
It's a very fair question. And so those clips we just played for you was from yesterday. It was recorded on Friday, but it was yesterday, a podcast he did with the great Howie Rose. Earlier today, and you heard it right here on this radio station, aired at, when it happened, I think about 10:30 this morning with BT and Sal, Steve Cohen met the media again. And he talked about a variety of subjects, and he was asked, hey, Steve, how did it feel to be 18th in attendance? And here's what Steve said today about the subject.
Yeah, I didn't like it. Okay, that really bothered me. 18th in attendance when we're right in the middle of a pennant race. I've said this before. The series against the Nationals, right before the final Philly series, I think there were 18,000 fans in the stadium during a great pennant race. And so I'm really hopeful this year. I mean, I'm told that usually attendance lags performance. And so I'm really looking forward to this year being a year when the fans come out.
You can hear he's pissed.
Yeah.
You can hear he's upset about it. And here's where I'm going to defend Steve Cohen, because I know a lot of people are going to call in, rightfully so, absolutely, and say, guys, it's expensive to go to a game. Guys, it costs too much money. Guys, parking's a pain in the ass. Guys, the SNY crew is so good, I'd rather stay home. Like, I know it and I respect it, okay? But now let me give you Steve Cohen's perspective. This is far different from the New York Yankees and far different from the LA Dodgers. The New York Yankees make a ton of money, okay? They bring in a crap load of money from the fact that they own part of the Yes Network to just being the Yankee brand that they are. The New York Mets don't make as much money. They don't. So when Steve Cohen spends on the team, here's what's far different than Hal Steinbrenner. He's literally going into his pocket. He's taking out his wallet. I'm holding mine right now. And he's taking money out and saying, okay, Pete Alonso. Okay, Juan Soto. He is spending his own money. And I appreciate that. We all do. He's treating the New York Mets like a public trust. Thank you very much. Well, there comes a point where when you spend your own money and it's not being returned, and I get why. I'm not criticizing fans for this. Trust me. I go to less games than I ever did. I still go to a lot of games, but trust me, I'm not the guy I was 10 years ago. No. I know that. But look at his perspective. If I'm spending my own money, you want me to continue doing this when you're not showing up? Like, I know this is an uncomfortable conversation, but I get where he's coming from. And the tone of his voice and what he said to Howie and what he said today, let's have a reality conversation. If the Mets don't draw well this year, the idea that Papa Cohen is going to drop $300 million every offseason for any toy you want is a fallacy. It's going to stop. So for anybody, including Tommy, and I don't mean to call you out, but you're sitting right here, for Tommy to sit here and say, go get me Vladimir Guerrero Jr. when you're not doing your part by going to a game, Steve Cohen's going to look at you and say, really? You're the guy demanding I spend more of my money? What have you given me?
I've given him a voice on the radio station.
Stop.
That's a hell of a lot more than that gets people. Wait a second.
Put on your hard hat and relate to other fans.
I agree with that.
Don't have that voice.
But by pushing the positivity, it might get a person to go to the game.
Oh, my God.
Come on.
Steve Cohen needs me to go to 10 games a year. That would really fill it up.
Because here's the thing, Tommy. You have spouted off, and this isn't meant to be an attack, a lot about what it's like to be the big brother in town again. And what Steve Cohen, your owner, is telling you, whether you like it or not, is that the fans are basically lockstep with the team and having to prove that. You have to draw as a fan base for Steve Cohen to continue to spend like that. And you're right, Evans pointed out, he's not going to dip into his own pocket. But at the same time, when you're Steve Cohen, you also have to acknowledge you do have less fans in town. You want to send this message, that's fine. But I just don't like personally calling out fans and basically saying, you're 18th in attendance, you better be better than that. Because so many diehard fans have already done their part. Now you're asking basically the non-diehard fans that either can't afford the season tickets or haven't thought about in the past. And how many of those people are out there to please Steve Cohen?
Look, here's the reality of last year. Just so we understand where they were in attendance and why it was so bad and why Steve was pissed off. They averaged 28,000 people per game, which is a pretty decent number. If you take away the pandemic here, and you kind of have to, because A, there was nobody in the ballpark in 20, and obviously 21, they had huge restrictions. That was some of the worst attendance they've had in like a decade.
Which is crazy.
It was really, really bad. So they're capable of drawing well.
Explains the gimmicks, by the way.
No, that's why you can never complain about the gimmicks. Gimmicks get people to go to the ballpark.
Right.
And I get it. If you're a family of four and you're only going to be able to go to 3 or 4 games a year.
Yeah, you're going to pick the one where you could wrestle a bear before the game.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, yes.
Right.
I mean, even me. I don't go to every single game, but when I take my son Jet, my son Spence, my son Jet is with me today. He has a lot of things he'd like to say to you later on in the program.
To me?
Yeah, to you. He's got some issues with you. Oh, no, you're not Loogie. I apologize.
Now you're getting us confused?
I'm just kidding.
Don't feed the animals.
I'm just kidding. He loves all of you guys. You're all his favorite. But when you decide to go to a game, the tiebreaker sometimes is going to be a bobblehead. The tiebreaker sometimes is going to be a giveaway. So I never mock the Mets for doing that. And look, I get how difficult it is to go to a game. I'm not telling people listening right now, you better go to a game. I'm just explaining what Steve said yesterday and today. We got to take it serious. We could just laugh about it and say, whatever. He's got billions. He'll spend all the time. No, he won't. He just told you. Now, I'm not telling you the Mets will ever be the Marlins. Like the Mets draw badly this year. Steve's going to say, screw it. We're going to have no payroll. We're going to have a $90 million payroll. No. But I think if they don't draw well this year, based on how disappointed he was, the challenge he laid out to Met fans, the idea they're going to blow by the Cohen tax every single year, it's going to be a thing of the past. I think that's the reality of it, and we as Met fans have to kind of take it. We got to formulate our own opinions on this. What are you going to do about it? Yep. Is the answer, look, I'm still going to the same amount of games. I'm sorry, billionaire Steve, you can't change my view. Or are there people out there listening to our voice at 888-808-1019 who say, wow, okay, I love the Mets. I want this man to continue spending. Damn, I may have to go to a few extra games. And it's not, just to answer your point, Tommy, because this relates to voting, and I want to make this clear. One of the things that bothers me when we get to election time is people are like, well, I'm just one vote. I'm not going to make a difference. If you think about it that way with attendance, it's the same as voting. Obviously, Tommy, you going to 2 extra games isn't necessarily causing Steve Cohen to think differently. But a bunch of you, just like a bunch of you vote in the state of Ohio, you can change a presidential election. A bunch of you change your view on going to games. That could change Steve Cohen's opinion. Right. Instead of being 18th in attendance, they're 5th in attendance.
Yeah, if enough of you keep doing the you thing, farming your own land. Right.
Yeah, my schedule also makes it very difficult for me to get to games because we're here till 6:30, 7 o'clock. I have the league hour.
This.
I work the weekend. But you're attacking me. This is what I would say, though, in all seriousness. They're going to draw this year. They have Juan Soto, and they're coming off a year that has a lot of goodwill, a great run to the NLCS. There's going to be more people there. So, like you said, Shaun, this to me feels like one of those situations where, like, you're saying this now is almost like a threat, like Steve Cohen is doing that, but people are going to come to the ballpark this year.
But if you sold, Steve Cohen's not stupid, clearly. If the Mets had already sold enough season tickets or partial plans and everything, don't you think Steve Cohen's not saying this right now? That's what would worry me a little bit.
Well, look, you hit on something that's very important. I don't know what that figure is for Steve to say, hey, I'm happy with the way the fans reacted. Now, I do agree with Tommy. I think they will draw better this year. First of all, I added 2 season tickets. So I've already helped out the cause a little bit.
And Steve Cohen should have led with this. If Evan Roberts can afford Knicks season tickets, you Met fans can afford to watch your actual team.
Well, you know one negative about baseball, in all seriousness about this? And I can say this from
resale?
The resale in baseball is atrocious. It is. I'd be the first to tell you. Like, a part of why I'm a Knicks season ticket holder is because when I go to games, great. When I don't, it works out well financially.
Right.
Any Met and Yankee fans are included in this, who have season tickets, and they can't go to all 81 games. I do not go to all 81 games. I did that many years ago. I cannot do that anymore with a wife and kids. I have to resell a lot of these games. You cannot even get your money back on baseball. And so that's another danger. Like, if you're out there saying, hey, I'd love to be a season ticket holder, it's financially a terrible decision. I'd be the first to tell you. You're doing it because you want your tickets, and, hey, if they're in the playoffs, you're all set. Like, trust me, there are perks to it, but you're going to lose money. Yeah. So it's not like I could tell you, yeah, go do it. It'll all work out well, even in a big year. And Yankee fans could testify on that because the Yankees draw well every year.
And look at the World Series tickets. Remember how high they were just for the average fan to get in? The season ticket holders are the ones that got in at a decent rate.
Look, I get the fans' perspective on this. I'm just merely saying, read between the lines, folks. When Steve Cohen tells you, I'm disappointed. Play that first clip one more time, Rosie, at the beginning. Listen to this like it's your dad talking to you, after a weekend of, just partying, right? Mm-hmm. This is your dad talking to you and how they feel about how you've performed with, like, homework and studying and using the allowance money that you gave them. Listen to it with that tone and tell me what you think.
I'm sort of looking at 2025 as an important year for the fans. I mean, I've, committed and highly committed to putting the best product on the field. I was a little disappointed in the attendance last year, given the quality of the team, and I'm hoping that the fans come out this year because I just think it's a blast there.
All right,
and I think
code it for guys. I spent enough.